Hey team, this is Nathan from RunDreamAchieve.com. Today's topic, we're going to be discussing how to run under sub 22 minutes for 5 kilometers. So if you're trying to run a sub 22 5-kilometer event, you need to hold 7 minutes and 5 seconds per mile for 3.1 miles or 4 minutes and 24 seconds per kilometer. So in order to run and do that effectively, it's very important to focus on training well below your goal race pace, that 5K race pace. But you also want to train not only at your race pace, but also much faster than goal race pace, because again, this is a universal strategy that it usually works just about every time. If you've been very focused in training at paces that are much faster than your goal 5-kilometer race pace in training, it's going to make your goal race pace, you're going to be able to sustain that pace for more and be more effective at finishing your race in 21 minutes and 59 seconds than had you not done your homework and training and spent too many miles, too high of a percentage of your weekly volume at paces that were much slower than 21:59 5K race pace. So, building your endurance is key. You do have to, it's not just about doing speed workouts and training much faster than goal race pace. You still have to build that volume and be consistent. But any athlete that has a desire to break 22 minutes for 5K, if you're focusing on your quality and focusing more on quality than quantity, you're going to set yourself up for success. You do have to have a high level of motivation and drive to run we're all different. There's some athletes that can go out and run even under 13 minutes for 5K, or maybe under 14 minutes for 5K for females even. So they're phenomenal athletes, and we all come in different packages, and we all have different anaerobic capabilities. The key strategy, just to be blunt, is patience and not beating yourself up when you have a poor race or a poor workout. I've had them myself. I've dealt with running in poor races and having poor track workouts, but I also had great success as well, even at the 5K distance. I ran 14:18 for 5 kilometers on the roads. So I know this is a very fast anaerobic event. You have to develop your speed. You have to have a plan in place. I focus, all of my training plans on RunDreamAchieve.com, and my running courses, which end with a 16-week training plan, all focus on a 4-month block of training. So we focus on at the end of the 3rd week, we have a recovery week. So you have a recovery week at the end of the 3rd week. And we do that 4 times during that 16-week block of training. We do a 10-day taper rather than a 3-week taper. So again, what the philosophy and mindset around that is, you start dropping your intensity and your volume 10 days out rather than 3 weeks out, which is, we've heard about the 3-week taper. Start dropping your volume and your intensity 21 days out from the race. I've done that as well. I didn't get as great of results from the mile all the way up to the marathon distance using that strategy. I was always, when I started hitting PRs for the 5K up to the marathon distance, I was utilizing a 10-day taper, where you start dropping your volume and your intensity only a few days out from your big race. So you continue to remind your legs of what you're training them to do up until 10 days out. And 10 days out from your big 5K is plenty of time to recover from all of the hard anaerobic workouts you've done in the past. So running a sub 2:22 minute 5-kilometer race, you have to, this is a speed race, so there's no easy ways around getting race pace to feel more sustainable. It's a practice and a process that takes time, effort, motivation on your part. Again, you have to hold 4:24 per K for 5 straight kilometers, or that 7:05 mile pace for 3.1 miles. So what do you need to do to minimize the slowdown effect? You have to get lactic acid. You have to be able to manage lactic acid better than your competitors. So the faster you train in training, you're going to recruit more fast twitch muscle fibers. Okay, so if you're out doing those repeat 200s when you're very fit at around 49 seconds to 50 seconds, or when you're not as fit around 56 seconds to 57 seconds, those types of workouts, you're recruiting more fast twitch muscle fibers. The more of those you can recruit, the more effective you're gonna be at being able for your muscles to work at optimal levels when you're racing. Okay, and I also talk about doing, as a 5K athlete, you don't necessarily have to do very long tempo runs as opposed to somebody that's training for, say, the half marathon or marathon distance. But if you can get your tempo run out to around 4 to 5 miles in length, or out to around 8 kilometers in length, you're training at the point where lactic acid starts to build up in your bloodstream. So the further you can extend and the further you can run at that particular effort, the more effective you're going to be at the 5K event. Because again, you're going to be racing at paces that are even exceeding your anaerobic threshold, especially in a 5K, because it's an anaerobic event. If you're running a longer event, say the 10K out to the marathon distance, you're going to be running closer to or slightly faster than your anaerobic threshold. In a 5K event, because it's so anaerobic, you're going to be running just slightly slower than your VO2 max. You're maybe about 10 seconds slower than VO2 max effort. VO2 max is training at your maximum oxygen uptake. It's the point where you can only spend a few seconds to a few minutes at these types of efforts. These are, examples of, doing 400-meter repetitions when you're very fit at around 1 minute and 37 seconds to 1 minute and 40 seconds. Or when you're not quite as fit, right around 1 minute 45 to 1 minute 48 per rep. If you're doing 10 to 16 400-meter repetitions on the track. That's a lot of volume, but it's a lot of speed. But again, when you're training and you have a plan in place where you're focusing on speed and you're focusing on periodization, which is focusing on a specific effort for a specific amount of time, which is around 3 to 4 weeks. And then once your body has adapted to that effort, then you start working at a different intensity, a higher intensity, and you start minimizing the rest between each one of those hard efforts. That is the point where, again, you're gonna train the body to utilize fat at race pace, conserve what you have a lot less of, which is carbohydrates. Especially in a 5K race, you're gonna be really calling upon more carbohydrate, more glycogen, because you're running at a much faster effort as opposed to, say, the marathon. So you can't make as many mistakes in a 5K as you can in, say, the marathon distance. 5K, if you go out way too fast, you're really gonna be hurting because, again, the race is so short, you don't have as much time to make up for that. So in a marathon, you can slow down and recover and get your thoughts back in place. In a 5K, you have to be very smart. My top recommendation for you is this. If you want to run 21:59, hold off until you get to the first mile or until you're 1.6 kilometers in the race. Then plan your attack. Attack once you get to the first mile. Okay, when I ran under 16 minutes for the first time when I was in high school, I ran 15:53 on the roads. My coach told me this, and it worked. That was the first time that I actually was using this method, and it really worked. And I did it again when I ran 14:18 in Denver in a 5K there. If you hold off just enough, hold back your pace until you get to the first mile, and then make it a 2.1 mile race, or around only a few kilometer race once you get through the first 1.6K. If you're in other parts of the world where you're focused more on kilometers than miles. I don't know, it's something psychological about it as well, because you feel as though you're not giving an all-out effort until you get to that point. The majority of runners run far too fast the first mile anyways in a 5K, and they end up paying for it. Some of them end up paying for it. So you want to hold back just enough that once you get to the mile where people have went out way too fast, then start attacking, okay? And see if the runners around you can react to that particular move. Throw in your surges in that race and give it everything you have until you get to that first mile and then all the way to the finish line. If you run and you hold back early, you have a much better chance of success in breaking to, again, 4:24 per K for 5 kilometers or 7:05 per mile for 3.1 miles. Takes an athlete that's patient early on, but also has the tenacity to really run aggressive and stay in it mentally. You have to stay in it mentally. This is a mental sport, and oftentimes mental training and mental visualization and, you know, rehearsing yourself getting across the finish line with 21:59 on the clock. See that. Spend 10 to 15 minutes daily during your 16-week block of training, seeing yourself doing what you want to do. You have to see it first in your mind before it ever becomes reality. Okay, so there are resources below all of my videos here on Run Dream Achieve. Definitely check those out. I have running courses and training plans on RunDreamAchieve.com that are there to set you up for success. If you would give me a like on this video, I'd appreciate it. It definitely helps the channel grow. It helps more athletes such as yourself see these videos and helps with the algorithm with YouTube. So I really appreciate that as well. So I hope this video on the mindset and the philosophy and some of the things you need to be thinking about to run 21:59 for 5K has been helpful for you. If there's something in this video that I did not cover enough for you, feel free to leave me a comment below. I will definitely respond. Or if you have any other questions or concerns, or any other topics you want me to cover in future videos, feel free to let me know. I always reach out to my subscribers and people that visit here, and I definitely appreciate what you all are doing, whether you're a 5K athlete trying to break 22 minutes, or you're a marathoner maybe trying to break 2 hours and 20 minutes. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that I get athletes such as yourself, or athletes from around the world, to maximize their capability, to train smarter rather than harder. It's not just about working hard to break 22 minutes for a 5K. It's about training smart. It's about implementing a plan in place, following a plan that's designed by somebody that's done what you want to do. I always talk about, and I did this over the years as well, and I still do to this day. Study what successful people do. How do they think? How do they set up their training? You know, the athletes that you see breaking 22 minutes for 5K, what are they doing that you're not doing? It's not that you don't have what they have. Okay, so if you're lacking talent, or if you feel like you're too old to break 22 minutes, or you don't have enough speed to break 22 minutes, get beyond that. You have to get beyond that. You have to get beyond your thoughts and the negative things that you say to yourself. It's also about what you're consuming. Okay. The subconscious mind does not know the difference between reality and imagination. So it doesn't know the difference. If you're a 40-minute 5K athlete right now, it doesn't care. It doesn't even know the difference between a 40-minute 5K athlete and a sub 22-minute 5K athlete. See yourself doing this. It may take you several years to get to a point where you can break 22 minutes if you're in that category. Okay, you might be closer to breaking 22 minutes. So it may take you a few months. It might take you several years still. How tenacious, how badly do you want success? You know, the best athletes I've trained with over the years, they were just consistent long enough and were willing to put in the work on a persistent basis, and they never gave up. So don't give up. Don't let go of your dreams. Believe in what you're doing, and you will succeed. I mean, it's just it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Okay, so I hope this video has been helpful for you. I'll talk to you in the next video. Wish you all the best and success in your 5K pursuits, and I look forward to hearing about your 21:59 or faster 5K. I'll talk to you all in the next video.